and welcome to Bob's Garden. Today I'm going to show you how to repot a cactus or cacti. During the early spring, which is its second week in April here in Connecticut, and we're going to do a whole procedure of doing all my cacti for the day. I want to show you how to do one of these. These are Mammillaria. It's a large genus of cacti. They're very adaptable to a wide range of conditions. They do quite well under grow lights and in the house, but like all cacti, they need to have a real fast draining mix, and they need plenty of sun. These will go outside for the summertime and to give them as much sun as possible, and then in the winter time I put these under grow lights. The grow lights are only about 10 inches above the tops of these, and you can see all the nice growth we're getting. This particular cactus was one of my very first plants that I ever got. It's over 50 years old, and you see it hasn't grown very much. It's been through quite a bit. This one has been getting quite a lot of growth, and you can see the flowers starting to come out, and this is the time of year where we want to repot. Now all cacti, and as a matter of fact succulents, should be repotted every 2 to 3 years. Salts build up in the soil and the soil degrades, and if you let them go much longer than that without repotting them, they'll begin to decline. So it's a good idea to get a schedule where you can do it an odd number of years or even number of years. Every other year you want to repot them. You don't want them to let go much longer than maybe 3 or 4 years before repotting. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to do this one. I want to wait until these flowers finish before I repot that one. So the first thing we got to do is I've got a pea stone dressing on this, and we've got some of the vermiculite in the soil that was here up into here. So I use the chopstick to clean that up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I like to recycle my pea stone here, if I can, as much of it as I can anyway. Cacti are fairly shallow rooted, and you'll certainly want to have a pair of gloves handy for this, especially when we're positioning. Right now I don't need it. You see it's a very rocky soil. Alright, so I've been able to salvage some of this. Now we take our butter knife and we go around the edges of this pot. Last time I potted this was 3 years ago. Sometimes it gets I get a little carried away with other things, and not that I neglect them, but I don't get around to potting them. So I finally had some free time today, so this is what I'm doing. Alright, so now we got to get this out of the pot, and I'm going to use this just to catch anything that falls in there, and I'll need a pair of gloves for this. Okay. And you see how shallow rooted this is. And it's not because it's overgrown the pot. It's because they're shallow rooted. And the reason why we're repotting it is to replenish the soil. So we're just going to get rid of all this soil that was in here. And we're just basically putting it right back into the same pot. You don't need to go into a larger pot. These can stay in these size pots, are ideal for it because they're deep to let the water go through, and if you get them too large, they don't dry out enough, especially with the amount of volume that the plant is taking up into here. So basically we just tease this. We don't bare root it. Don't take off all the soil, but we do want to be able to replenish the soil in here. And you can see, get enough of this out. Okay, and that's done. So we'll take some of the larger drainage stone. Here, this must be washed. You can't just... If you don't wash it, you get a lot of mud. So it absolutely has to be washed. And we'll take some of this Espoma soil perfector, which is the smaller stone. Again, this has been washed until the water runs clear. And this is our soil mix from our local Connecticut Cactus and Succulent Society. It's got coarse sand, and expanded shale. This is our basic mix. It works well for cacti and succulents. So we'll just pour this into here. And you can get commercial mixes. They'll be fine. So let's see if we got the right height now. All right, so we'll just get this up. And that looks really good. Boy, I'm pretty interesting that I got this on the first try. Get a little bit out of here. Because we want to leave room for a top dressing. There we go. That looks perfect. So we'll get this situated in such a way put that in the center of the pot. Now once it's set in there, you want to just keep it balanced. And we use this new mix. So don't expect the cacti, unless you have a really huge one, to get pot bound. They don't really get pot bound. So again, the whole point of this is to replenish the medium into which it's growing. And then once I got this situated okay, I can take off my gloves. And this is going to be very happy. Now you want to do this when the cacti is completely dry. Never do it right after you've watered it, because you're not going to be able to get the soil off, and it's going to be overwatered when you're done. So absolutely has to be perfectly dry. And we have another video on cacti and succulents that explains more about their care. This video is just focusing on the repotting process. So be sure to watch that other video. Now you see, you don't want to be using your fingers to push this soil in, because that will compact the soil. So we use this sharpened chopstick to work the soil into the root ball area. And we're just going to go all around there. So I just spent about 10 minutes or so working this new soil into the root ball of this cactus. You really want to keep at it. It's not a 1 minute process. You got to make sure that as much soil that will go in there, and when you place your chopsticks, and you'll see that it's much tighter. It'll get much tighter as you go on, and none of the soil will drop down. So that's what you want to look for. So now I'm going to put a top dressing on that. This does have a tendency, because it's outdoors for a large part of the season. In the wintertime, it's in the house, of course, because it can't take freezing temperature. But it does get a little messy in here, so I just use the sharpened chopstick to clean it up. So now we're going to put our top dressing of pea stone on here. There's many different kinds of top dressing you can use. There's a very fine fired clay that's quite pretty. It's like a mahogany colored clay. With this one, I'll recycle the pea stone that I had. I'll wash this and put it back into a bag. But for now, we don't need to do that, because I have some freshly washed. This does not degrade. So each time you do this, you want to replenish the top but you can recycle it. So that works out to be quite well. But I don't take this off and put it immediately back in, because you see it's got some pine in there, and it's got some of the old soil in there. So I just take new one, wash this, and put it back into a bag, and I'll reuse it. Now you don't want to press this down with your hands like this. You just want to kind of brush it evenly. This helps to keep the crown of the cactus above the soil level, and it helps to keep it dry. And be absolutely sure that there's no debris in here. You have to wash this until it runs absolutely clear. And that takes a while too. So don't skip any of these steps, because if you do, you're going to get into trouble. And the whole point of this is to get rid of the salts that build up. Always use non-chlorinated water to water these. There are ways to dechlorinate the water. You can look that up. And they only you watch our video on the the full care of this. Okay, so we just clean this up in here. And now the reason I let it really dry out before I repot is so now I can water it. And the watering is going to settle all that soil into the root ball. And then we're done. And I've got another 10 cacti to repot. And I'll get to that, but you don't need to see. It's all very similar. Once you do one, you can do any one of them. So there we go. So thank you for watching Bob's Garden, and we'll see you next time. Please share, subscribe, and comment on my videos. And remember, be curious, not judgmental.